Good evening. So let us discuss morphology. Last session was on phonology and we have discussed about phonology, which is the study of sound system, where we discuss phone, we discuss phonemes, allophones, minimal pair, minimal set, right? So these way we have discussed about how a sound system is made, and every language has its own sound system, where we discussed about phonological rules and process in which assimilation, dissimilation, insertion and deletion we discussed. When we use some of the words, so then there is assimilation of the words, then how dissimilation, how words are mixed, right? Then insertion, how sometime we speak word which is called insertion, and sometime word is deleted, how are you, right? So this way, you and me, so that's a and me, right? So this way, sometime words are disappeared, sometime words are inserted. So this way we have discussed about phonology, right? Now morphology. So what is morphology? Let us discuss. Linguistics is the study of language. We know that it's a scientific study of language, right? And there is a lot to unpack about language. Yes, it's a very vast topic. Language means very vast detail. Language is a very big subject, right? In which we have to discuss a lot. Now, so why not start small? So that's a we have to we have to have lots of things to unpack, and we can start from small, and that is words. Words are the smallest unit of meaning in language. Important. Words are the smallest unit of meaning in a language. It's a very smallest unit of meaning in a language, right? So language is made up with the words, we can say. Okay, guess again. Small segments of sound that carry meaning. So small segments of sound that carry meaning, many even smaller than words, are called morphemes. Like phonemes, words are called phonemes. That's the smallest meaningful sound, phoneme. And one more concept we have, that is morpheme, right? Morpheme. So many smaller than words. So that's a some of the words are, this is word, this is word, but some of the group of letter, we can say, even this one, this is also sometime word. I, actually, I is, that's a word. N, D, shun, these are the morphemes. Okay, so there are many types of morphemes that can come together to make a single word. Important. What? There are many types of morphemes that can come together to make a single word. We will see in the example, right? Okay, now morphology definition. Consider the word smallest from the paragraph above. Any paragraph where word is smallest. So what's the paragraph we have to see here? Paragraph where it is given paragraph. Okay, we'll see later, right? So there is a word paragraph in paragraph. There is a smallest word is smallest, which is given in paragraph. Okay, now the word can be broken down into two segments that carry significance, small and est. So actually word is divided into two parts or two segments, small and est, right? While est is not a word, of course est is not a word, right? Not a word in and of itself. It does carry significance. It does carry significance that any English speaking person should recognize. It essentially means the most. Small, smaller, smallest. So when we write smallest, so that smallest is the most, which is used to show that the intensity that is the most. Okay, so this is somewhat morphology. Now definition: a division of linguistics. Morphology is the study of smallest segment of language that carry meaning. So what's the morphology? Is the study of smallest segment of language, smallest segment of language that carry meaning. So that is smallest segment of meaning of a smallest segment of language that carry meaning. Okay, now meaning must be there. Now language includes everything from grammar to sentence structure. So language includes everything from grammar to sentence structure. The other segments of language that we use to express meaning are most often words. So words are used to make sentence meaningful. Morphology deals with words and their makeup. Important. Morphology deals with words and their makeup, how words are made. But what are words made of? Important. So here there is an even smaller unit of language than morphemes, phoneme. Of course, morpheme is bigger than phoneme, right? Phoneme is the smallest. So that's a smaller unit of language which is smaller than even than morphemes, phoneme. So morpheme is the smaller unit, but then there is one more smaller unit, that is phoneme, right? Phonemes are the distinct component of sound. What are phonemes? Distinct component of a sound that come together to build a morpheme or word. In other words, we can say that morphemes are morphemes morphemes are made up with the phonemes. When phonemes join, what is made? Morpheme is made. Now the difference between morphemes and phonemes is that morphemes carry significance or meaning. Remember, morphemes carry significance or meaning in and of themselves, whereas phonemes do not. Morphemes carry meanings. Important. Morphemes carry significance or meaning. Means morphemes must have a significance or meaning. and whereas phonemes do not. Phonemes do not have meaning or significance. Phonemes is just little sound, right? So that is phoneme. For example, the words dog, important, very important. The words dog and dig are separated by single phoneme, that is O and I. The middle vowel in the both the cases, dog and dig, middle, right? That's a dog and dig. So this is a middle vowel, right? Middle vowel that is separated by middle vowel phoneme, right? But neither I as in dig nor O as in dog carries meaning by itself, but there is no separate meaning of I and O. So this is phoneme, right? In the example of word smallest, the two segments small and est come together to make complete word. Okay, so that is small and est make complete word. These building blocks are an example of individual morphemes. So this is building block which makes something. So that is, this is building block. Yeah, this is building block of individual morphemes. So that's an individual morpheme. Okay, now definition: morphemes are the smallest unit of language, units of language that have meaning and cannot be further subdivided. Important. This is a complete definition. Morphemes are the smallest unit of language that have meaning and cannot be further subdivided. Okay. When we put together the morpheme small, which is a word by itself, and est, which is not a word but does mean something when added to a word. Okay, so we get a new word that means something different from the word small. So when the word small is, when we add est in the word, so there, this is word of course, but this is not word, right? But this has meaning or significance. Okay, now small, something slight in size. Smallest, the most slight in size. Meaning change, in both the cases meaning meaning changed, right? So that is okay. But what if we wanted to make a different word? There are other morphemes we can add to the root word small to make different combination and therefore different words. What they are saying, that what if we wanted to make a different word? These are other morphemes we can add to the root word small to make different combinations and therefore different words. Okay, so that in the small we can add er, we can add est and make a new word. Okay, now morpheme types. There are two major types of morpheme. What are the types of morphemes? So two major types of morpheme: free morphemes number 1 and bound morpheme number 2. These are the two morphemes. The smallest example is made up of one of these types of morphemes. What is here? Small and est. Small is free morpheme and est is bound morpheme, right? Okay. Free morphemes. A free morpheme is a morpheme that occurs alone and carries meaning as a word. In other words, we can say that free morpheme is a word. So a free morpheme is a morpheme that occurs alone. First of all, occurs alone and carries meaning as a word. And carries meaning as a word. Okay. Now, free morphemes are also called unbound or freestanding. Unbound, not bounded, unbound or freestanding morphemes. You might also call a free morphemes a root word, which is the irreducible core of single word, which cannot be reduced, right? So that is why it is irreducible. So free morphemes are called unbound or freestanding or root word, or which is irreducible core of a single word. So these three names we have to remember: unbound, freestanding or root word are called free morphemes. An important thing, which is irreducible core of single word. Example: fridge, frigid, are, must, tall, picture, roof, clear, mountain. These examples are all free morphemes because they cannot be subdivided into smaller pieces that hold significance. Free morphemes can be any type of word, whether an adjective, a noun, or anything else. They simply have to stand alone as a unit of language that conveys meanings. Any word, right? Any word is morpheme which has a significance or which conveys meaning. Okay. You might be tempted to say that free morphemes are simply all words and leave it at that. That is true. But free morphemes are actually categorized as either lexical or functional according to how they function. So again, free morpheme free morpheme is divided into two categories, which is lexical and number two, functional. Functional, right? Functional. How? Let us see. Lexical morpheme. Lexical morpheme carry the content or meaning of a message. So that carry content or meaning of a message. Example: stand, stage, compact, deliver, meet, blanket, tree, access. How? You might think of them as the substance of language. To identify lexical morpheme, ask yourself, if I deleted these this morpheme from the sentence, would it lose its meaning? If this answer is yes, then you almost certainly have a lexical morpheme. Means if the morpheme which is deleted from the sentence and which loses the meaning, means that word is lexical morpheme. Functional morpheme, as opposed to lexical morphemes, functional morphemes do not carry the content of the message, right? So that's it, that do not carry the content of a message. These are the words in a sentence that are more functional, meaning that they coordinate the meaningful words. So they are functional and meaning that they coordinate the meaningful words. They use for coordinate the meaningful words. Example: with, there, and so, you, but, if, we, etc. Remember that Functional morphemes are still free morphemes, which means they can stand alone. Free morphemes means that they can stand alone as a word with meaning, right? So they can stand alone. You would not categorize a morpheme such as re, un as a grammatical morpheme because they are not words. They stand, that stand alone means er or cannot stand alone. These are the words like er, like est, like or, no, not like un, like d, cannot stand alone. Okay, now second number is bound morphemes. Unlike lexical morphemes, bound morphemes are those that cannot stand alone with meaning. Cannot stand alone with meaning. Bound morphemes must occur with other morphemes. Bound morphemes must occur with other morphemes to create a complete word. So, bound morpheme has to, morphemes need to have a support. In other words, we can say. And many bound morphemes are affixes. Affixes means suffixes and prefixes are affixes. Okay. Definition: an affix is an additional segment added to a root word. Important. An additional segment added to a root word to change its meaning, right? Suppose limit, and in limit delimit. So this is called affix d, right? So that is prefix means affix. An affix may be added to the meaning prefix or the and suffix of the word. Affix can be a prefix or it can be a suffix. Not all bound morphemes are affixes. Important. Not all bound morphemes are affixes, but they are certainly the most common form. Here are a few examples of affixes. First, est, right? Est, then it ly, ed, s, un, re, im, right? These are the affixes, means in which some of are suffixes and some of are prefixes. This is suffix, this is suffix, this is suffix, suffix, this can be prefix. Okay, this can be prefix, this is prefix, this way. Okay, but that's totally, these are the affixes. Okay, now up derivational morphemes, again new term. When a morpheme changes the way you would categorize the root word grammatically, it is derivational morpheme. What? Morpheme changes the way you would categorize the root word grammatically. Means, in other words, you can say that when a morpheme changes the meaning of the word, that is derivational. For example, poor, grammatically position should be changed. Poor, that is adjective, right? And if you add ly into poor, so that is poorly, that is adverb. So that poor is adjective and poorly is an adverb. So ly is derivational morpheme. The root word poor is an adjective, but when you add the suffix ly, which is derivational morpheme, it changes to an adverb. Other example of derivational morphemes include ness, non, and full. These are the examples of derivational morpheme. Powerfulness, right? Non-existing, then full, powerful. So these are the words. Means here derivational is the morpheme changes the way you would categorize the root word grammatically. Means when grammatically status will change, that is derivational morpheme, right? Okay, inflectional morphemes. When a bound morpheme is attached to a word but does not change the word grammatical category, does not change the grammatical category, mm, it is an inflectional morpheme. These morphemes simply modify the root word in some way. Root word. So uh, that does not change the root word's grammatical category. Does not change the root word's grammatical category. For example, fireplace and fireplaces. Adding s to the end of the fireplace did not change the word in any significant way. It simply modifies it to reflect multiple rather than one single fireplace. Means that's a singular or plural, but grammatical status is same. Okay, now morphology example. So these are the different different morphemes where we have discussed morphemes, free morphemes, bound morphemes. Then free morphemes is divided into two categories: lexical morpheme, or another is lexical, and that's a wait a minute, lexical morpheme and lexical morpheme, functional morpheme, right? Now then, another is derivational morpheme, inflectional morpheme. Derivational and inflection are the two categories of bound morpheme. Okay. Now, next, that is morphology example. Sometimes it is easier to see a visual representation of something than to explain it. Morphological tree do exactly that. Unreachable. So what they are saying, that they say that sometimes it is easier to see a visual representation of something than to explain it. So here that's why they are giving visual representation. Unreachable, the inability to be reached or contacted, right? So that is unreachable. Now uninflectional morpheme, reach, lexical morpheme, able, free morpheme. So inflectional morpheme is what? Inflectional morpheme is, that is when a bound morpheme is attached to a word that does not change the meaning. So that does not change the meaning, grammatical status un, right? So unreachable. So that's an inflectional morpheme. Okay. Then reach is lexical morpheme meaning, and able is free morpheme. Able has meaning, right? Okay. This example shows how the word unreachable can be broken into individual morphemes. The morpheme able is an affix that changes the word reach, a verb, to reachable, an adjective. This makes it a derivational morpheme. Okay. After you add the affix un, you get the word unreachable, which is the same grammatical category adjective. Reachable and unreachable, right? Category is same, right? And it's reachable, so that it is an inflectional morpheme because category is not being changed. Motivation. The reason or reasons why someone does something. Motive, lexical meaning, morpheme. Et, derivational morpheme, because that's a derivational is which is derivational morpheme changes the way you get categorize the root word grammatically. So it changes the root word into grammatically. So that is shun and motivate verb. The addition of the bound morpheme on changes the verb motivate to noun motivation. Okay, so this is there. Now morphology and syntax. So here we see the comparison of morphology and syntax. Okay, so let us see morphology and syntax. Linguistics, the study of language, is made up of several specific domains related to language, starting from the smallest, most basic unit of language, phonetics. Right? So that's the phonetics is how sound is created, and graduating up to study of discourse and contextual meaning, pragmatics. Linguistics consists of the following section. So what comes under linguistics? Phonetics, phonology, morphology, syntax, semantics, pragmatics. Now morphology and syntax are close to one another in terms of the linguistic domain, while morphology studies the smallest unit of meaning in the language. Syntax deals with how words are linked together to create meaning. So that gives the example answer of how words are linked together to create meaning, whereas syntax is the that is syntax is in terms of syntax. So what is syntax? Deals with how words are linked together, right, and create meaning, right. So that is syntax. The difference between syntax and morphology is essentially the difference between studying how words are formed, that is morphology, how words are formed, morphology. Okay, important, very important, how words are formed, and how sentences are formed is syntax. Okay, good. Now morphology and semantics. Semantics is one level removed from morphology in the grand scheme of linguistic studies. Semantics is the branch of linguistics responsible for understanding the meaning in general. So that is morphology is the grand scheme of linguistic studies, right. And then this is semantics is something find out the meaning. To understand the meaning of a word, phrase, sentence or text, you rely on semantics. So that is semantics. Okay, morphology also deals with meaning to a degree, but also only in as much as smaller sub word units of language carry meaning. To examine the meaning of anything larger than morpheme would fall under the domain of semantics. Okay. Finally, what are the key takeaways? Number one, morphology is the study of smallest segment of language that carry meaning. So that is smallest segment of language that carry meaning. Okay, morphemes are the smallest units of language. So that's the smallest unit of language that have meaning and cannot be further subdivided. Now there are two main types of morpheme, bound and free. Bound morphemes must be combined with another morpheme to create word. Free morpheme can stand alone as a word, right. So that is something. Thank you so much. God bless you.